Have you ever looked in the mirror and asked yourself, is this person living this life really me? You're doing what others expect you to do. Dressing to get compliments on being fashionable. Posting pictures to get likes. But the more you live like that, the more empty you feel. If you feel like you're losing yourself in the eyes of others, this video is for you. We grow up in a world that values approval as a valuable currency. We learn from a young age that if we want to be loved, we have to be good. If we want to be praised, we have to get good grades. And if we want to be accepted by society, we have to be like the majority. Then we grow up, enter life, and continue that game. We start choosing our major, our career, even our life partner, not necessarily because we want to, but because others think it's good. We wear masks every day. The mask of politeness, the mask of success, the mask of a lovable version. And the price of wearing a mask for too long is that we forget our true faces. Everything we do revolves around a single question. What will other people think if I do this? You want to quit your current job because it's burning you out, but you're worried your loved ones will think you're weak. You want to live a simpler life, but you're afraid your friends will think you're old-fashioned. You want to pursue your passion, but are afraid of the scrutiny from outsiders. And so, day by day, you give up on yourself, just to retain the approval of others. I fell into that trap. I lived just for recognition. I have a job that everyone says is good, makes good money, and has a voice in society. But every morning when I wake up, I feel like an empty shell, full of achievements, but lacking a soul. And I know, if I continue to live like this, I will lose myself forever. Today, I am not here to tell you to rebel or be a jerk. I'm here to share a truth that no one tells you enough. Living for the eyes of others is not the way to be loved. It is the shortest way to lose yourself. If you ever feel like you live for others more than for yourself, if you want to escape the cycle of satisfaction, expectations and invisible pressure, then come with me in this video. We won't just talk about the problem. We'll figure out how to solve it. Come back to yourself honestly, strongly and freely. Do you ever feel like you're living on a stage where every action is meant to get a round of applause? Not because you like the role, but because you are afraid, if you don't do it, you will no longer be loved. That's when you're living for the eyes of others. And the scary thing is, sometimes you don't even realize it. You no longer make decisions based on what is right, but on what agrees. You avoid controversial things, not because you don't have an opinion, but because you're afraid of being judged. You choose to live a safe life, not shocking, not different, not going beyond the norm. But are you really happy? We live in a world where each social media like is a score for personal worth. A photo that gets a lot of likes can make you feel more confident. A compliment from someone can make your day. On the contrary, just one negative comment can make you lose sleep thinking about it. The problem is not the praise or criticism. It is whether you let it they control our mood and self-worth. You are no longer the master of your life. You are letting your emotions be dictated by others. Like a ship, but without a rudder, just turning in the direction of the wind of public opinion. And do you realize this? You don't know what you really want anymore. You compare yourself to others constantly. They have good jobs. You find yourself falling behind. They have the perfect life online. You find yourself meaningless. You don't know where you're going. You only know where other people are going. And you run after it, never catching up. I know the feeling. I've been in a room full of people, full of laughter, and felt invisible. I used to try so hard to be the version everyone expected, only to cry one night because I couldn't recognize myself anymore. You may be going through the same thing. You may be tired of keeping up appearances. You may be losing the joy in your own life. But you know what? No one is born to live someone else's script. You don't need everyone's approval to be yourself. Because if you live your whole life to please others, who will live your life? Take a few minutes and be honest with yourself. What do you do every day? Does it come from within you? Or are you living as a shadow, reflecting the eyes of others? The answer may surprise you, but it could also be the beginning of change. And you deserve a life without having to wear a mask to be loved. Have you ever wondered why you are so easily drawn into other people's gaze? Why can a single criticism bring you down, while a single compliment makes you rush to correct yourself? Why is it so hard to be yourself, even though you always want to be yourself? The answer is not in the present. It starts very early, when we are children. Think back. Since childhood, we were taught that good behavior will be rewarded, wrong behavior will be punished. When you get good grades, you get praise. When you do things adults don't like, you get bullied, compared. Gradually, we learn something implicit but powerful. If you want to be loved, you must please others. You don't learn to love yourself despite your flaws. You learn to force yourself into the role of good child, good student, ideal child, and consider that as a condition for acceptance. And so you grow up with a mind that depends on external views. It's not because you're weak, it's because you're programmed that way. And then, today's society only makes things worse. We live in the age of images. Every day, you scroll through hundreds of photos, perfect bodies, bright smiles, dream lives. But you forget that all of those are just highlights, edited, filtered versions. You see someone successful and think, I'm not that good. You see other people having happy families, traveling everywhere, eating fancy food, and you feel insecure about your own life. But you don't see the moments when they are desperate, tired, and fall down in silence. You don't see the behind the scenes part of that life. The problem is not social media. The problem is, we carry a mind that has never learned to love itself, entering a world that only knows how to compare. And then the worst happens. You start running. Follow expectations. Follow standards. Follow the crowd. You no longer stop to ask, what do I want? Instead, ask, what are other people doing to get attention? I should copy that. You turn your life into a race without a finish line. You are tired, but you dare not rest. You are unhappy, but you continue. Because you are afraid of being left behind. Afraid of being a failure in the eyes of the world. And that fear is what makes you lose yourself every day. Do you know? The trap of modern life is not a lack of opportunity. It's that we have too many people to compare ourselves to. Too many standards to follow, but too little time to listen to ourselves. And if you don't stop soon, if you don't turn back to face the question, what do I really want in this life? Then you may be successful, but in someone else's life. Remember this. You did not come into this world to be a copy of anyone. You came here to live, really live, in all your unique, rough, and valuable self. There is a silent sadness that many people carry in their hearts. They have stable jobs, good incomes, and are even successful in the eyes of others. But every night when they return home, turn off the lights and go to sleep, they find something familiar: emptiness. Are you feeling that way? Maybe you just got promoted and received compliments from your superiors. But instead of joy, you only hear a silent question. Is this the life I want, or is it just the life others want to see? That is the first consequence of living too long to please others. You will feel lost in the very things you once tried to achieve. Because no matter how successful you are, if what you are pursuing does not come from within, then all the glory on the outside is just an empty shell. Then there are relationships, friends, colleagues, even your lover. Are they really in love with you? Or just a version of you that you struggle to maintain? When you have to act every day to keep other people's love. When you always have to be right, positive, never wrong, never weak, that's not true love anymore. You are not loved for all that you are, but only for all that you show. And what happens when you get tired? When you want to live truly? Let go of that mask? You're afraid. Afraid of being rejected, of being disappointed, of being told that you've changed. But the truth is, you're just turning back on yourself. Unfortunately, not everyone is brave enough to accompany you on that journey. The more you live for the eyes of others, the more you lose touch with your inner voice. Every time you need to make an important decision, you hesitate. It's not because you're not smart. It's because you don't believe in yourself anymore. You'll open your phone, ask for opinions, surf the net, see what people are choosing. And then again, you let others decide for you. Gradually, you no longer know what you really want. I don't know what makes me happy. Not knowing what's worth waking up for every morning. You become a person who lives by reflex, just to be right in the eyes of others. But no longer living with a goal, with a real direction from within. Your life is like a car running without a steering wheel. It still moves, still seems fast, still passes some milestones, but no one knows where it's going. And neither do you, the one sitting inside. How long will you live like this? When is it enough to be recognized? But how many is enough? 10 compliments? 100? 1,000? It will never be enough. Because when you lose yourself, everything you have will no longer make you feel whole. And the most heartbreaking thing is, you can live your whole life, only to realize you never really lived. Stop it, right now. Ask yourself, what I have, is it really what I want? Am I living, or just following? Because if you don't ask that question again today, you'll keep going, go far, but leave yourself. There are illusions that silently control the way we live. We don't see them clearly, but they govern every choice we make. And the scariest thing is when those illusions make us believe that living for others is mandatory if we want to be loved and recognized. Try listening to some of these familiar thoughts and see if you see yourself in them. Other people know better than me what I should do. Sounds logical, right? They're more experienced, more successful, more intelligent. But you know what? No matter how good they are not you. They do not live your life. Do not deal with your inner emotions. Only you know what truly makes you feel whole. You can listen to feedback, but don't let other people's words become a compass for your life journey. Because no one knows the path you need to take better than you. Second thought. I need to please them to be loved. Sounds a lot like how we grew up, doesn't it? From a young age, we learn. If you're good, you'll be loved. If you do something wrong, you'll be scolded. And so we carry that mentality into adulthood. As long as we try to meet expectations, we won't be left behind. But the truth is, true love doesn't require you to lose yourself. If someone only loves you when you please them, that is not love. It is a transaction. Someone who truly loves you will accept your imperfections and allow you to be yourself. Not a copy of someone you expect. Another very common illusion. If I live truthfully, I will be hated. Yes, you may lose some people. Some people may not be as cheerful or as welcoming as they used to be. But look closely. If they leave you just because you're being real, then they never stayed for you. They stay because of the image you create, because of the mask you wear. And masks can't be worn forever. It is better to lose a relationship based on fakery than to maintain it by suffocating yourself. And finally, the thought, I have to be perfect to be accepted. This is perhaps the biggest illusion we are living in these days. Social media makes us think that only when we are beautiful, successful, and 100% positive can we deserve to appear and be loved. But the truth is, nobody is perfect. And you know what's more powerful than perfection? Authenticity. People are not attracted to perfection, but to the feeling of safety in being themselves with someone who is also being authentic. You don't have to act. You don't have to be the edited version. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. You just have to be yourself, and have the courage to step out of the illusions that make you believe you're not enough. Because you are always enough. So, if you realize you have lived too long for the eyes of others, how do you go back? How to be true to yourself in a world that is constantly trying to shape you into a different version? The answer starts with something simple, but few people actually dare to do. Stop and ask honestly, what is true for me? You don't need to change the world overnight. You just need to look at one small action you're doing every day and ask yourself, what am I doing this for? Did I choose this job because I love it? Or because it makes others respect me? Did I post that photo because I wanted to preserve the memory? Or because I wanted someone to notice? Am I saying no to something I love because it's not really right for me? Or is it just because I'm afraid of being judged? If the honest answer makes you cringe, that's not a bad sign. On the contrary, it is the first step to returning to yourself. But along the way, you must learn an extremely important skill, one that schools never teach. Dealing with other people's dissatisfaction. No one lives authentically without being opposed. When you stop trying to please everyone, someone will be disappointed. They may say you're fickle, selfish, even cold. But remember, true freedom begins with daring to be misunderstood. People who understand you won't need you to explain too much. People who don't want to understand, no matter how much you say it's useless. You also need to learn to detach yourself from external validation. I know, being complimented is addictive. A compliment makes you feel valued. A look of recognition makes you feel alive. But if you live on those things, what happens when they disappear? Like a person who lives only by gifts, you will always be afraid that there will be nothing left to live for. Remember, compliments are gifts. They are not a salary you have to live on. Instead of letting others decide whether you're worthy or not, base your self-worth on things you can control: honesty, effort, attitude to life, and especially, the ability not to betray yourself. To do that, you need to build a strong inner self. No one lives truly in a troubled mind. Start small. Meditate for 5 minutes every morning. Write a few lines in your journal every night, or simply sit down and ask, "Today, have I lived true to myself?" You will be surprised to find that your inner voice, no matter how long it has been suppressed, is always there, waiting for you to return. And you don't have to be good enough to start listening to it. You just have to be honest enough. Because in the end, you can't ask others to accept you if you don't know who you are. If there is a philosophy that has ever helped people face the gaze of others most firmly, then that is Stoicism. You know, Stoicism is not about being cold or indifferent. Stoicism is learning to keep your mind from being swayed by things you cannot control. And one of the things you can never control is the thoughts, judgments, and expectations of others. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "If you want to be loved, love what is worthy, not what is approved." Because approval, compliments, looks of approval, can change in a moment. Today they like you. Tomorrow they can turn their backs on you. If you live for it, you will never stop. Stoic philosophy teaches us one thing: turn within. You can't control what other people say about you, but you can control how you react to it. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of the Roman Empire and a Stoic, wrote in his Meditations, "If someone says something wrong about me, that's their business." So profound, because we spend so much energy trying to correct our image in the eyes of others, while we can never change the way they think with explanations or justifications. As for time and mind, they are gradually drained away. Stoics understand that freedom does not begin with the outside world, but with a strong inner self. When you know you are living up to your values, you don't need anyone's validation to feel fulfilled. When you choose to be kind, honest, and make an effort, even if no one sees it, you can still be proud. Because true value is not in the spotlight, but in how you face yourself every night. Stoicism does not advise you to reject all relationships or live in isolation. They advise you, don't put your life in other people's hands. Don't let praise lift you up, and don't let criticism pull you down. Do the right thing, because you believe it is the right thing to do. Be authentic, not for applause, but so you can look yourself in the mirror and say, "I know who I am." This philosophy does not promise that you will be loved by everyone, but it guarantees you won't lose yourself. So next time you see someone misunderstand you, judge you, say something wrong about you, remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. That's their business. As for you, keep your mind calm and continue living right. You know, every morning when you wake up, you are actually standing at a crossroads. A silent choice, but one that shapes your whole life. Do you choose to live according to the eyes of others? Or do you choose to live according to your own inner light? Two paths, one familiar, one difficult. The first path, pleasant at first, because you get applause, recognition, but the price is that you have to trade your freedom, your truth, and yourself. The second path, being authentic, is not easy. It requires you to face doubt, rejection, and sometimes loneliness. But in return, you don't lose yourself. Living is a courageous journey, because you are telling the world, I choose myself, whether anyone likes it or not. And the great thing is, the world doesn't need you to be perfect. The world does not need another person living to please everyone. The world needs the real you, with all your imperfections, but sincere, clear, and brave enough not to betray yourself. Today, let's stop for a moment, just a few minutes, and ask yourself a very important question. Am I living my life, or am I living a copy of someone else's life? The answer may confuse you. It can be startling, or even painful. But if it wakes you up, that's the turning point. Not because you've been wrong for too long, but because you're ready to be more authentic today. You don't have to change everything at once. You just need to start with a small selection. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with your feelings. And have the courage to say no to things that no longer belong to you. Don't wait until you lose everything to start finding yourself again. Don't live the rest of your life as someone else's version of you. Your life, only you can live it. And because of that, you have the right and the responsibility to live a real life. If you see yourself in the above words, if you want to step out of the shadow of expectations and live a life that is yours, brave, free, and strong, then this is a journey you should not take alone. Please click the subscribe button to join us. Each video on this channel will be a reminder. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be real. And if it touches you, like the video. Share it with someone who needs it. Because maybe, just one timely reminder, will change a whole life.